Welcome to the Supplement Engineer Podcast. My name is Robert Chinetsky. Joining us for our weekly recap of all things supplement industry. It's the Iceman to my Maverick, a man who I love to hate but hate to love at the same time, Mr. Justin Hall of Supplement Snoop. Welcome back, my friend. Here we are again.
That was quite the introduction, man. I like it, because eventually they figured it out. They
did.
They got their differences aside and they made it happen.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the new Top Gun, the new trailer actually doesn't suck, which I'm surprised about considering the movie is now, almost 40 years old, 34 years old now, as of this year?
Yeah, when I remember it, because it was years ago when they first started talking about how they were doing this, and I was like, that's bullshit.
Yep.
You can't, because I was like, there's no way they're not going to fuck this up. Like, even if it's a good movie, it's going to be fucked up.
Right.
And I saw the trailer and I was like, okay.
That's good. I might. You could buy me this. All they need to do is bring back Kenny Loggins from some of that '80s tastic rock that he had for Danger Zone, man, and everything.
Good call. No, I totally agree, man. I think somebody in the Supplement Snoop group posted the other day about had some motivational Top Gun music, and I was like, I dig that. Yeah. Good call, man. I like it.
Do you have? And this is something I've been wanting to ask you for a couple of weeks now. We've never actually gotten onto the topic of it. But since we started on Top Gun, it sparked it up in my brain. What are some of your favorite 80s movies? Because we're both children of the 80s, and that's kind of like an iconic decade. I still think the 80s are incredibly awesome. And for any of you listeners out there that don't, you suck. I'll just leave it at that.
Right?
Yeah.
I think, Top Gun for sure.
Yep.
Right, because there's so many, I would have to, because there's so many movies you forget, were they, 80s, were they 90s?
Yeah.
But, I liked, first one comes to mind is, Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, man. I mean, that's classic.
It's awesome.
Roadhouse.
Roadhouse is great. It's Patrick Swayze kicking ass and taking names, but he's philosophizing all at the same time.
Oh, man. Did you ever hear the story, speaking of Roadhouse, this is one of my favorite stories. Did you ever hear the story about Bill Murray and Roadhouse and all that stuff? So
no.
This is a great story. Speaking of tying Ghostbusters and Roadhouse together, so Bill Murray is, what's her name? Kelly Lynch, the actress in that movie.
Yep.
So her husband in real life is really good friends with Bill Murray.
Okay.
And Bill Murray has said that every time Roadhouse is on, he said he'll send a text message to his friend. He's like, "Hey man, Patrick Swayze's banging your wife right now."
That's so
Dude, I heard that. I was like, that is fantastic. It's like, "Hey man, I'm watching Swayze bang your wife right now." I was like, that is one of the best stories I've ever heard in my life.
It's amazing.
Anyway,
yeah, there are so many good. Top Gun's up there, but then you also got to think of
Goonies. The Goonies.
I hate that movie. That's a stupid movie, and I think Rudy's is a 90s movie, but Rudy's and Goonie go down as two of the most overrated movies I think ever.
So Rudy, I don't know if you've ever heard it too. There was a really good sign on. It was College Game Day. It was Miami, and you know how Miami fans that fuck Rudy, right?
Right.
Miami fans hate Notre Dame, and there was a sign on College Game Day and said Rudy was offsides. And I was like, that's so bad. What's your problem with Goonies? What, are you out of your mind?
I never got the movie. It just never did anything for me.
I don't even know what that means. What does that even mean? It never did anything for you? What does that mean?
Yeah, I was not a fan of it. Sandy loves it, and she doesn't understand why I don't like the movie or anything. She thinks it's un-American or un-80s of me or something.
I'm trying to decide with her.
I don't know, but I mean, all right, so there we go. Rudy and Goonies. Sean Astin was in both. And the actual guy, Rudy, came to speak to us when I was in grammar school in 7th grade. And he came and tried to recant his whole life story. And the one takeaway I did that is he went and told all of these different movie executives, wrote the story of his life, and everybody turned him down except for that one studio that ended up picking the movie. I'm thinking, okay, so what you did really didn't give a shit no matter what. It didn't really matter. So nobody cares about your story. It's not just me.
Yeah, man. I totally, whatever, fuck Rudy. Fuck Notre Dame. Everything Notre Dame can kiss my ass.
Yeah,
so
Brady
I guess
Quinn, all of them.
I'm slightly biased there, but I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got? What's on your mind? There's so many.
I know. Rocky IV is up there.
Shit. I mean, that is still 80s.
That is the 80s. Back to the Future, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, when Star Wars was still a real Star Wars franchise before all the bullshit with Disney nowadays. That's a side tangent for another show entirely.
We can talk about that for a while.
I'm sure there's some other movies in there I'm forgetting. Ghostbusters is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Rambo,
that was the first.
Rambo and Predator and Terminator, all of those were the 80s. I mean,
Yeah, 80s movies were just better, man.
they were.
They didn't care. They were like, let's just make it. There was like
Yeah.
no, and
Right.
there was still like there was still like whatever ideas. That's why everything's like a remake,
Yeah.
like Terminator, the original Terminator.
Yeah.
And then now Terminator is turned into this
Everything.
whatever, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
At this point, I'm like, I stopped watching Terminator. I think after the second one. I'm like, what are we doing? We're
Yeah, they
trolling
did so
everybody.
many rewrites and time jumps and alternative universes. I don't even know what it is anymore. I kind of just prefer to keep it as is with Terminator and then Terminator 2 and just kind of leave it at that. And same thing with Ghostbusters. They had Ghostbusters 1 and Ghostbusters 2. I don't even acknowledge whatever the most recent one. I didn't even watch it. Sandy said she got 20 minutes into it and turned it off because it was that obnoxious.
Mm.
So
Yeah, and then they're making another one.
yeah, and well, they're bringing back Bill Murray for that one. They can't obviously bring back Egon because he's passed away several years ago now. But you know, they still got Winston still kicking, and Dan Aykroyd's still around.
What about Did you watch like so we just watched the other day Karate Kid and
The
my wife and I
original one?
watched we watched Karate Kid and Major League.
Yes.
Major League is an 80s movie, right?
The original one I think was 88 or 89. Yeah.
So it's funny because she had never seen it, right? I know.
Weird.
I mean, I know. So it was funny. It was on. We had like an 80s movie kind of weekend that weekend. That's why I remember Karate Kid too, because it came on and she's like, "What is this?" I said, "It's Major League," and she's like, "Well, is it like a dumb comedy?" I was like, "No." I was like, "It's actually like a good movie."
Yeah.
So we're watching it, and we get like halfway through it, and I'm like, "Well, I was like, you want me to change it?" She's like, "No."
Yeah.
She's like, "This is awesome." I was like, "I told you."
It's good. It's really good. And I was watching Predator one day, and Sandy walked in the room, and I said, "Okay, you've got to watch this because in the beginning, and her favorite character from the history, the annals of the Rocky franchise is Apollo Creed, and Carl Weathers, the actor, is in Predator.
The man.
Yeah, he's in Predator, and it's the opening of Predator is the greatest handshake in the history of cinema with that double bicep flexing, between him and Arnold. Man, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that had Sandy hooked from the word go. And so she actually she thought, Robert, I thought this was gonna be a stupid movie. And I mean, some of the action sequences don't hold up to nowadays, obviously with the CGI and everything, but still, the movie's good. I could watch that or just about any 80s movie, any 80s action movie over and over and over again.
Did you watch like 80s like horror movies?
Yeah, Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, both of those debuted in the 80s because the original Halloween, I think, was 75?
I think that was late 70s.
Yeah,
77?
77. Yeah, that goes down. That and The Exorcist go down as my top two horror movies of all time. I love those two movies, man.
I got some funny stories about The Exorcist, man, because we didn't watch it. We probably watched it when we were like teenagers.
Yeah.
And so my buddy had this creepy ass basement, and him and I watched it, and it was the first time. And so we watched this on VHS, back then. And I remember, like I said, his basement was creepy as shit. And we're sitting in there, and he had like a black light, kind of, because that was the thing too back then. So the movie ends, and we're just kind of sitting there, like I'm fucking horrified, like I'm traumatized.
Yeah.
And the movie stops, and the TV's black, and we're both just kind of sitting there. And then for whatever reason, like I see, like out of the corner of my eye, like his black light that lit up everything, like unplugged.
Yeah.
And the whole basement went dark. Well, the light and everything is on the other end of the basement. I'm like, dude, I'm not moving. Like, you have to get the light. Like, I'm staying right here. I was so fucking scared.
That's hilarious. There's when we were, I think this was either when we were freshmen or sophomores, whichever one it was. Sandy and I always lived like one floor above each other because the girls' dorms and the guys' dorms at LSU, in the honors dorms, so the guys were on one floor, then the girls were on the next floor, and then the guys, and then the girls. So it was kind of like this Oreo sandwich, alternating between all boys and all girls floor. And so I think it was the end of our freshman year or the beginning of our sophomore year, and The Exorcism of Emily Rose came out. And me being the horror movie kid that I loved horror movies, my dad grew me up on all the old Universal picture monster movies from the 30s and 40s as a kid. So I've always really, really liked horror movies. And I remember convincing Sandy somehow, I don't know how I did this, I probably had to give in and watch a girl movie or some kind of chick flick or romantic comedy or something. And so she signed on to watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I had to stay up with her for 2 days straight, because she was afraid if she went to sleep, she would wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning at the bewitching hour and become possessed or something like that. So it was like 48 or 72 hours of me just being sleep deprived.
So that movie was true. I remember that movie, and the part where she's in wasn't she in a dorm room?
Yeah.
And he wakes up and she's on the floor like looking up. Man, to be sleeping in a dorm room at that time, that would be a little freaking traumatizing.
Yeah. So
thanks.
Yeah, that was fun stories from back in 03 or 04. Good times.
Aliens.
Yeah, I did like Aliens. I don't remember. It's been so long since I've seen those, and I never remembered seeing all of Alien 3. I know how it ends, and I remember seeing the ending of the movie, but I don't remember much from Alien 1 or 2 outside. It's really dark and it's scary as shit.
Yep. Yeah, the 80s were big for horror movies. They're big for everything. Mm-hmm. If you really go back, I should Google it. Like, hey, we'll Google what's the best 80s movie and see what comes up.
Oh, no. Well, you also, Footloose was in the 80s, too. And I mean, that's Kevin Bacon saving America.
Best 80s Breakfast Club.
All right.
Yeah,
those kind of like the teen kind of drama movies. No.
Best, I was a little young.
51 best 80s songs. I Want to Dance with Somebody by Whitney Houston. Sandy loves that one.
I bet 80s songs is a good one too.
Beat It. That's a good one.
Stand By Me.
Oh, the workout songs. In the Supplement Snoop group, we're tying this back to supplements, I swear, for the listeners out there. Somebody was posting workout music. And the soundtrack of Rocky IV there are so many songs from that on my actual workout playlist. I'm not even kidding. And so at the end of my leg workouts, I'll usually do like a 5-minute burnout sequence where I just do walking lunges for 5 minutes, and I only stop when either my lungs or my legs are about to explode. And I just have that song on repeat for that entire 5-minute block of No Easy Way Out when Rocky's cruising around in his Corvette, and after Adrian yells at him saying "You can't win," and he's replaying the vision of Apollo getting killed and everything. So
that's funny because I do that at the gym sometimes. Like if I find a song, I'll listen to the same song for an hour to an hour and a half while I'm at the gym, over and over and over again.
Yeah, it helps get you into that groove, and it's awesome, and it definitely helps you get to. Oh, here we go. I'm forgetting this. Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Man, there are some good '80s movies, man.
We actually went to
everything Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep. This was 2 weekends ago or 3 weekends ago now that the Austin Symphony Orchestra did a live play-along of the entire score to Raiders of the Lost Ark while they played the movie on the big screen. So you had live music from the orchestra playing while you're doing that. And so that was an incredible experience. Yeah, and somebody that grew up playing music and still plays music, both Sandy and I do. It's cool to kind of be in that setting and see a live orchestra go along with one of my favorite movies of all time.
I'm with you there, man. How about The Princess Bride? I like The Princess Bride.
That's a good one. I watched that a lot as a kid. I guess, when I was actually old enough to remember, which was the 90s. But me and my cousins, we watched that a lot. Gremlins is good.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Jeez. The whole Brat Pack, I never really got into them. I never really got into any of their movies. I think those are kind of... That's like in the Rudy and Goonies category of just, I think you're supposed to like it, I just don't. Yeah. All good things.
Well, we'll make that for another side podcast. We'll just talk about that stuff all day.
Agreed. So, man, before we actually delved into the podcast, you were saying that this week has kind of been hellacious from a sleep standpoint, and you took a sleep supplement last night that knocked you the frick out, and you woke up feeling like Superman and ready to beat the coronavirus, SARS, and the avian bird flu all in one go. So what did you take?
Well, I constantly get questions from people. I've always struggled with sleep, because people are like, oh, well, don't use caffeine and don't use your phone. And I'm like, okay, all that stuff. You can Google, all the sleep hygiene in the world, but sometimes it just doesn't play out that way. Yeah. So whenever people are always like, oh, if I had $1 for every time someone was like, well, I really need to sleep 8 hours a night and I need to wake up not groggy, I need to feel good.
Yeah.
What do you recommend? I'm like, if I knew the answer to that question, I would have my own island, right? Yep. I would have. So Big Pharma can't figure this out. So it's obvious. Sometimes you can get close to the answer when it comes to sleep aids and sleep hygiene and all this other stuff, but still, it's very rarely 100%. Just for whatever reason, I'll sleep great for months.
Yeah.
And then I'll just go through a week where I just cannot sleep. Like
Yeah.
I'll fall asleep fine, and then for whatever reason, like the time change sort of in there sort of messed me up. I started waking up just like 2 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
2:30 in the morning. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So I ended up taking the older formula of Kodiak Coma that still had the phenibut in it
Okay.
last night, and
Good
it didn't knock me out. It's always been one of my favorite sleep aids, and I stocked up on it, when they were going to reformulate.
Yeah.
I just slept like a champ last night.
Awesome.
Woke up in a good mood. I was going to take the day off the gym today because the last couple of days have been kind of a struggle. But I just felt so good, and I crushed leg day today.
Nice.
So I had the sleep aid last night, and that's what I always try to tell people. I was like, it's really hard to really get down to what your issue is. Even me, like I've found ways to mitigate it, but I can't point to, yes, this is, and I've tried everything over the years. Like I said, they prescribed me Ambien back in the day. That didn't work. This is kind of one of those things that I've just always struggled with. So between that, and I took the Core Fury pre-workout today.
Mm-hmm. The new version or the older version?
The new one. I just love that thing. So for the last, 12, 24 hours, man, I've been ready to go.
Excellent, man. Did the Santa supplement fairy bring you anything good this week?
So yes. So one thing I think I wanted to talk about, there was one company that sent me a really nice packet. I got tons of shit for my birthday last week. That was cool. But I don't think anything like really new. There was a lot of stuff I already liked that people sent to me. So they're called ATP Labs. They're a Canadian brand. They asked me to pick out a couple products from their list. They have lots. They said they're Canadian. You can tell by the they listed like medicinal ingredients. Like how Canadian brands list.
Yeah, on the ingredient packet, or I'm sorry, on the supplement facts panel.
Yeah. So what did I get? I got one's called, is it Myoprime?
The pre-workout?
No, it's it's like a peak ATP, creatine, HMB formula that's kind of cool.
Here we go. All right, 3 grams of creatine monohydrate, 2 grams of creatine magnapower, 1.5 grams of HMB calcium, 400 milligrams of peak ATP, and 1,000 IUs of vitamin D3. It's a nice little ATP supplement in there. I mean, I'm not a big believer in HMB, but I like all the other stuff that's in there.
Well, and especially too, I think HMB, the calcium and vitamin D3.
Right. So that's something you could make a case for it. That's inclusion.
Yep. So that was a cool one. I haven't tried any of their products. I just got them, but they said there was a couple that caught my attention. There was some good like Men's Health formulas that they had. Let's see here.
Oh, and well, since you brought up peak ATP, shameless plug. There's a new article up on the Supplement Engineer website, a complete explain-all article on peak ATP. I wrote one several years ago, but this one is, I think, bigger and badder than that one. So go check that one out for all the listeners on there.
Nice. Did you post that on the group?
Not yet. No, I forgot to post it. I mean, I put it live earlier this week, and I forgot to add it to the Facebook group. So I'll go and add that into the Supplement Snoop group probably this afternoon.
Gotcha. So I got this. It's called Alpha Jack. Let's see. It's 3 grams of D-aspartic acid. As we know, D-aspartic acid is one of those ingredients that it's not for long term, but it can, at that dosage, boost testosterone levels. There's very few things that have been shown to actually boost testosterone.
Yeah.
D-aspartic acid is one of them, even though it's like a short term kind of thing. It's still kind of cool.
Yeah.
I think people that anecdotally have said they get like an energetic feel, but how much is that? But it's got D-aspartic acid, Uricoma longifolia, the Tongkat Ali.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tongkat Ali. It's got cordyceps, maca, and shilajit. So I saw that formula. I was like, that's a cool. I get a lot of Men's Health questions too, and a lot of it always comes back to, we have this test booster question like all the time. It's like a lot of this stuff is just to make you feel good. It's like, yeah, maybe test boosters, but here, D-aspartic acid actually does, boost testosterone. But a lot of these test boosters, while people look at them sort of incorrectly, they do still can help. Like cordyceps and maca, shilajit, all these things can help you feel better. Maybe cordyceps, maybe for some performance and benefits and stuff like that. So ultimately, you're going to feel better throughout your day. So as long as you realize, like, okay, maybe it's, I'm not going to jack up my testosterone levels for life, but if you just use some perspective, some of these products are pretty cool.
Yeah, and for all those people out there scared of coronavirus, there was a new study that just came out that the beta-glucans within certain mushrooms have antiviral properties, and it shows the spread of viruses and helps to kill them and all of their pathogenic activity. So that's yet another reason to load up on mushrooms, whether in the form of high-quality extracts or just adding more mushrooms to your diet. They are a fascinating set of organisms. They're not really technically a vegetable, but they have the caloric equivalent of vegetables. Very low calorie, very high fiber, and tons of bioactive goodies in there. So if no other reason, then you can fight back your fears and hysteria of coronavirus with mushrooms.
Yeah, man, and I think that's one thing that kind of sucks about the supplement industry is that we're not allowed to talk about how they can, cure diseases and things that or treat diseases, but they can. You know what I mean? That's what kind of sucks because you're like, well, I'm not allowed to talk. I shouldn't say not allowed to talk about it. You're not allowed to claim it. So it's like,
correct.
You see all these, a lot of the disorders are coming from inflammation. Antioxidants play a role, or some kind of enzyme that's degenerative. Like when we talk about Alzheimer's, there's so much fascinating stuff when you look at those mushrooms and a lot of these other ingredients that you're like, it's like anti-cancer. Now you can't just say, hey, this cures cancer, but if you look at it, you're like, this could help with, a lot of this stuff points towards anti-cancer things and anti-Alzheimer's, which, two of the most just debilitating, horrible things that have been killing us for a long time. And people, so a lot of this stuff is cool, man. It's like, you can't just say like, yes, this is the cure for it, but it's like, maybe it's worth checking into and adding it sort of in a preventative, because a lot of people wait until after the fact.
Right.
And you're doing a preventative measure, so it's kind of cool, man.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it's irresponsible for any supplement company to say, "Hey, we've got mushrooms in here. This will cure cancer. This will cure Alzheimer's." That's taking it too far. But where I start to have an issue with is with the FDA and the claims people saying, "Well, you can't say scientific evidence shows it can do this." Well, I'm saying, well, why can't I say that? Because this research paper right here that I'm showing you, that's not making a claim. It's just retelling what these scientists who actually conducted, valid research found properties of, whether it be in vitro, in vivo, any, what have you. If there's data out there to show it, then why not just inform the public of, hey, this compound has these properties. I'm not telling you it's going to, obliterate your cancer cells or your neurodegeneration. But at the same time, it's kind of cool to be able to know what these natural ingredients that are just out there instead of some kind of Frankenchemical from a big pharma could do. And I'm not saying pharmacies and pharmaceuticals and all that are bad. I'm just thinking everything, all of the major medicines are derived from some point. They were found a relative in nature somewhere. That's still our biggest repository for cures to things, is starting from some kind of botanical. And then they extrapolate it and find other carriers and other ways to make it more bioavailable and have, more direct mechanisms of action in the body. But still, it all goes back to stuff that's in nature. So why not benefit yourself by learning what's out there and how it could maybe help you in any way, shape, or form, even not directly, but some kind of indirect antioxidant polyphenolic benefit or something.
Yeah, man, and that's a good topic to actually talk about, because in the Supplement Snoop group not long ago, one of the people in there, they had their brand audited, so he was working with the FDA, and one thing that he was telling all of us was, so you think it's a good thing, right? Like, oh, I'll put the ingredients that I use in my supplement, and then you'll have the studies on your website to sort of show that you back it up.
Yeah.
But according to what they were telling him, like, you're not supposed to be doing that. You're not supposed to be putting that studies information on there. It's not like,
Right.
and that's part of the issue that we're running into with supplements and the FDA. It's like the FDA doesn't really have a lot of, it's like they change their mind and there's some things change and people don't know about it.
Right.
But exactly like what you just said, it's like, well, I get it if you're using it like as a marketing thing to save, and there's a fine line there, but if you're just showing scientific studies and letting people read them on your website, it's like, you're not allowed to do that, or you're not supposed to be doing that. I'm not sure where the gray area is. It's like, well, if that's your criteria, then what are we doing here? It's like at some point you're just going to shut the whole damn thing down.
Yeah, and I know exactly the individual you're talking about, and him and I had a phone call the day that he was posting the updates of the FDA Auditor, and I'm, based on what he was telling me, I'm led to believe this FDA Auditor was either super new or didn't know her ass from a hole in the ground. Because that she was saying that, well, you can't have yohimbine in products. That's a prescription grade drug. You can't have that in there, and you can't put links to scientific studies on your website. I'm thinking, do you know how many multi-million-dollar companies are either using yohimbine or having scientific studies on their website? And one of the biggest ones is Legion Athletics. Yohimbine's in one of their fat burners, and they linked studies in every single one of their articles, whether it be on exercise, nutrition, or on their supplement breakdown pages. And if they're one of the bigger ones, and I'm thinking they're one of the big dogs, obviously an FDA person has gone through their shit before, and they've got some really intelligent, powerful people working behind the brand, including one of the guys who used to be the lead researcher for Examine.com. Curtis Frank is the guy that does all of their formulations and ingredient write-ups. So if I'm led to believe that the FDA auditor didn't know what the fuck they were talking about.
Right, that or they're like changing their mind and nobody knows. So it's like either way is a scary scenario.
Yeah.
Because it was just not long ago, because NutraBio makes a yohimbine product and yohimbine, and they have a couple of them, and they just were audited. The FDA came there and audited their facility, and they still make it. So
yeah, and NutraBio lists studies on their site, because if you go and read through their ingredients section, it says so-and-so has been shown to do this, and you click over on one of the other tabs, and it lists every reference that they use in writing up their little product information things. And so there are so many, it's not misconceptions, but there's not one set of guidelines, and nobody knows how to interpret it. It's probably as dense or as complicated as trying to figure out the NCAA rulebook on what counts as an infraction or what doesn't.
True.
So, yeah, that's a whole other topic to get into.
So ATP Lab sent me those two products. They sent me this other one called Aromatech.
That's still a Men's Health formula as well? Let me pull it up.
Yeah. It's like
anti-estrogen.
Yeah. So you got like dim. Grape seeds tucked in there. That's some cool stuff.
Saw palmetto, Agoras bisporus. Yeah, stinging nettle. That's good.
What was the other one? They sent me a digestive. It was gluco control. It's a berberine, quercetin, berberine, biotin, chromium, that kind of thing. So
very cool.
Some cool stuff. We'll check it out. So berberine is kind of an interesting ingredient on a lot of different levels. I tend to try to keep it away from my workouts,
as I would recommend for most people to do.
The interference with NPS and so we'll see. We'll try those out. They were very, very nice to send over a couple products, and I think the formulas look good. Look, there's no fluff. There's no wasted effort. They're just it's like pretty straightforward stuff. And I did today get a package from our good friend Robbie,
my man,
and he sent me kumite. Another type of assassin, because I love it.
Yep.
But also, everybody asked me for a scoop.
Yeah.
And like, what I always do too is if companies send me products and people ask me, like, hey, can you send me a scoop? I always ask the company, I'm like, hey, are you cool with me sampling this out to people?
Right.
Robbie's like, oh yeah, of course, no problem. And man, people just love that thing. So he sent me more of that. The coronavirus killer, assassin, and I got 2 tubs of protein, peanut butter cookie and strawberry.
Ooh, have you had their strawberry yet?
This was the first time I had it.
It's good stuff, isn't it?
It is really, and most, I think NutraBio was the first company really to do. I mean, they released multiple badass strawberry proteins this year, but
Yeah.
prior to that, I don't remember really ever having a strawberry protein that was any good.
No,
But
strawberry is a really hard. Strawberry and vanilla, for those being such like fundamental flavors, they are so often screwed up. I mean, chocolates can either be exceptional or just very good. Very rarely do you get a chocolate that is just undrinkable. But
mhm.
I've had so many nasty vanillas and strawberries um, that it's really hard. Steel Fit makes a really good one. I like Primevals a lot, and I actually did a little head-to-head review Sandy and I did between NutraBio's strawberry shortcake bar and Primevals. Now, granted, one's an isolate, one was a regular whey concentrate, and one had inclusions and one didn't. But we just thought, hey, how does the strawberry flavor actually stack up? And I thought Primevals was better, but NutraBio's is better mixed into milk or yogurt. I didn't like it in water. Um, that was the one caveat because I found NutraBio's actually had kind of like a yogurt tang to it, and so if you mix it into yogurt or mix it into milk, those kind of calm those slightly tangy notes to it and makes it more well-rounded, and the strawberry comes through a lot better in that case.
And you're talking about the strawberry shortcake?
Yeah.
See, to me, I know exactly what you mean because I actually didn't look properly at the label when I first tried it because I was like, oh, this tastes exactly like strawberry cheesecake.
Yeah.
And a few of us were talking about it, and then I looked at it, I was like, oh, it's not strawberry cheesecake, it's strawberry shortcake. I was like, to me, it tastes just like strawberry cheesecake. So I know exactly what you're saying.
Exactly, yeah. And it's the Apollon strawberry, their wild strawberry, it's
good.
It's top notch, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, so I think other than that, I got Core Intra. Core's Intra products.
Yeah. I saw the formula for that, and I found that interesting. Is the best way I can put it, because I'm trying to figure out why put beta-alanine into the Intra. And I'm guessing, I mean, I understand that it's one way to slip it in there instead of having it in a pre-workout setting. And maybe the carbohydrate could facilitate some uptake into the cells a little bit better by enhancing, glucose transport into the cells and enhancing nutrient uptake and all that. Plus, it might also dampen some of the paresthesia that you get from beta-alanine by taking it with carbohydrates or some kind of a meal that helps to deaden the tingles, or at least just anecdotally, when Sandy takes a pre-workout that has a considerable amount of beta-alanine, 2.5 grams or higher, and if she's had a meal somewhere in like the 30 to 60 minutes around that pre-workout timing, she doesn't get the tingles from it. Whereas if she went into a workout fasted, then she would get full-blown face itching from it.
So the cool thing, what I love about Core is if you go to Core's website, you can read about the Intra product, and there is a extensive, and I know this is coming from Kenton, right? There is many paragraphs about beta-alanine and why it's in this product, which is cool because it's like, you don't have to. It would we would spend an hour talking about this, but anyway.
Yeah. He's a sharp dude.
He's a smart guy, great guy too, very nice. Always open with information and things like that. So
yeah,
it's got the 3 different carb sources. You're getting 21 grams of carbs, and you're getting 7 grams of BCAAs.
Yeah, 7 grams of 211 BCAAs.
Roughly about 3 grams of EAAs, and you're getting some glycosides. I had the strawberry flavor. It is awesome.
Yeah.
It is not. It's not like real sweet or like really strong. It's just like very subtle and very good. I heard the orange. Is really good too, and it's kind of cool because a lot of the Intra products. I have a lot of Intra products I really like, and a lot of them don't have the amino acids in them.
Correct.
So you have to sort of mix them, and sometimes the flavor can get kind of weird, and you're trying to find, a decent. So this one contains the amino acids. So if you're looking for, carbs and aminos and some performance, pump and performance, a little bit of pump performance considerations, then the Core Intra serves your purpose. I think pretty good.
Yeah, and I did reach out to Kenton. I reached out to them at the end of last year when, with the new year, a lot of brands are busy and all that. But we reconnected this past week, and him and I are trying to coordinate getting his ass on the podcast finally, so we can talk about the little mini empire they're building there between Core, America Labs, and Arms Race. So I would love to dive into his formulation philosophies to learn more about beta-alanine, and also they used really good forms for the minerals. I'm just curious why they went with magnesium oxide, because that's the form of magnesium that's got the lowest bioavailability. I think it's only somewhere around like 4 to 10%. Instead of using something maybe like a magnesium citrate, which might be a little bit better, or a Trax form of magnesium. That'd
Good
be
point.
something interesting to talk to them about. He might have a reason, or it might have just been cost was a killer at that point, because they got so much else in here. D-ribose isn't cheap. Cyclic dextrin isn't cheap. Glycersize isn't cheap either. So it might have just been a cost thing, but it'll be curious. I'm sure they're usually very willing to discuss why they had to do certain things, whether it was choice or cost was the driver.
Yeah, 100%. I could understand cost being a driver with this on there. It's a huge formula, and I know we've been getting pretty spoiled with the types of formulas we see on the market these days. But there is, especially what people don't take in consideration is for a lot of these brands too, that you have retailers, but the shipping costs and all this other stuff are skyrocketing. It's becoming harder for them. So it's like all this cost of goods goes into it. It's not just, here's what the formula costs and here's what we're going to sell it for. It's like you can't really run a business like that. It just doesn't, or you can't grow. Yeah. It's like you have to take all the things, logistics and your employees and that stuff, for better or for worse, however people want to feel about it. If you want to grow, those things go into the formula costs. It's not just a simple transaction. So you have to make considerations, somewhere. So I guess if a formula like this, if you're looking for, the carbohydrate aminos, where do you cut corners? Would it be? I would rather them do that probably with. But anyway, like I said, they'll tell you. It's really cool. And pumps are nuts.
Do you notice? Speaking of intra workouts, I know you usually head into your workouts fast, and then you'll sip on some kind of intro with carbs during your workout. Have you tried just not drinking anything in your workout outside of water, or maybe just aminos, and seeing how that works compared to your carb formulas?
Yes.
And just give some anecdotal feedback on that.
So it's a really good question, right? Because what I try to do sometimes, we get into a pretty heavy supplementation schedule, and you sort of lose track over, okay, what is it? What's actually working? Yeah. So I didn't use intra carbs for years, and I worked out fasted and stuff like that. And I would always notice, like, I had some issues with cortisol. I had some issues with stamina and stuff like that. But it was just kind of where I was at. So I would always just take aminos. And then back in the day, I remember getting away from aminos because, the whole amino acid, some people, once I started hearing that, and this sort of ties in together where I'm always tell people, I was like, if you take some data and then go try it out yourself, and you don't have to worry about what everyone else tells you. You don't get confused because you're like, I already know. Yeah. So like the way I would work out, and then I tried working out without aminos after using them for like a year. Yeah. And it was noticeable. I'm like, I was noticeably more sore. I was noticeably fatigued faster. And I was like, well, I don't give a fuck what anybody says about amino acids from here on out. Because I was like, I know it makes an impact on my, my performance. Right. Fast forward. Demo Day was the first intra-carb product I ever tried. And as soon as I started using that, it was immediately noticeable. Like, I was like, holy shit. Fuck. I was like, now I can't go back. Yeah. Because I've used just aminos since then. And I still can get great workouts, but there is a noticeable, especially depends on what training I'm doing that day. Obviously, that kind of plays into it. If I'm going for a longer, some of my workouts, I'll start off with heavy compound movements and sort of work my way down. When I do stuff like that, man, I need it. Yeah. I need those carbs. And it especially helps me after my workout, too. I have less of that, crash or that, where you're just whooped from a bad workout. It's mitigated much better.
Yeah, and it comes into play. I almost wonder where the carbs are ameliorating that fatigue more? Is it the peripheral fatigue in the actual muscle tissue, or is it the central fatigue? Is it helping the brain, just operate better and combat against that drain that happens as you get deeper and deeper in your workout, especially if you're hitting it hard and heavy in the beginning and then you're moving on to maybe some isolation or less intensive movements. So it's kind of curious to see, is it blood sugar levels? Is it helping stave off or ablate central fatigue? Is it going to replenish muscle glycogen and keep things going and helping soreness? Obviously, it's doing those, but I'm wondering, where is the action most pronounced? That would just be something cool to find out. I don't know if you could ever actually study exactly how it's working. I'm sure you could. I'm just not sure how to do that off the top of my head. So
we'll get a future there somewhere, man.
Yeah, we'll get Dr. Abby to do it. We'll get her lab to run some shit.
There you go. Also, the one other new product I got this week, I think they're announcing it. Alpha Line has a new
supplement
product that they've been letting me test, and then they have the full version. I think I'm supposed to get it today or maybe tomorrow.
Sweet.
But it's a cool one. It's going to be geared towards some of the new trendier stuff that I think we're going to be talking a lot about this year. So
gotcha.
Alpha Lion always staying on the ball. They're boy, those guys put a lot of money into their operation going into 2020. So
it's a good thing.
Other than that, I don't think so. I think that's about it.
Okay. Outstanding. Well, then, I'm trying to think. Recent goodies I've tried. SteelFit sent me a really nice package of stuff about a week and a half ago. It was all 3 of their greens flavors. A new flavor of their protein. I don't think they've announced it yet, so I will not say it on air. I will just say it is an exceptionally hard flavor to get right, and it's not vanilla or strawberry because they've already released those flavors. So I'll leave that as a teaser for the fans out there. Sandy's off school for this week and next week and possibly for the foreseeable future because they're thinking about canceling school and just having the teachers teach from home. So her and I might be doing a lot more reviews and getting that started up again. If she's going to be home with me a lot during the day, we got to do something with all of our free time.
Sure, man. Hey, so, there you go, man.
Yeah, we'll do that.
Make the best of it.
Yeah, and then they sent me their other flavor of Steel Pump that they're getting ready. I don't know if they've unveiled that one officially yet, but it's not the pink grapefruit. I have that one here, but it's one other flavor, and I'm not sure if they've announced it yet, so I won't spoil that one either, I guess. But you'll see it coming soon. I was beta testing a product several weeks ago, and I was doing some blood glucose monitoring. I'll stay with that. I won't say which company or anything like that, but I ran the blood glucose tests, and it's a pretty minimal formula, but it worked really well for me. I mean, within 2 hours, my blood sugar was starting maybe at low or mid 80s to low 90s. It would go up to 106 and then back down to 80 again within 2 hours of the meal. So that was pretty good, I would consider, for what it was supposed to be doing.
So okay, I'm looking forward to that. There is something. So I just realized a lot of people have been talking about this product lately, and I realized I've had this for months and never tried it.
Yeah.
So I was going to try it here live.
Is that a new haul from your VPX internship?
This is the Glaxon. One of their first products they ever sent me was their greens, their super greens.
Yeah, I've got a tub of that here.
And I've never tried the flavor.
Oh, is it the sweet tea one?
Yeah, it's a
lemon iced tea or whatever it's called.
Lemon iced tea.
Lemon iced tea. Yeah, I drank that last night with dinner, actually.
Yeah, I know a lot of people I know have been using it, and man, did we get a lot of good feedback on that podcast with Joey.
Yeah, the podcast with Joey killed it. It was awesome. Thank you to everybody that tuned in, especially Joey for jumping on board with us. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do it again as they continue to release new shit.
And they got some new shit. They are not messing around, man. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
So yeah, you definitely taste the greens.
Yeah, and it's got Pico 2 in there too, or their own riff on Pico 2. There's a mushroom blend in there as well, so that makes it extra challenging along with all the greens powders they got going on in there.
Well, at the same time, I know, like, I like that. I like the way greens taste. You taste the greens and you taste the lemon.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Mhm.
I like it.
Yeah, I like theirs, and I like Steel Fit's greens. I've tried a few other greens formulas, but it was several years ago. I haven't tried any recent ones outside of the Glaxon or the Steel Fit ones.
This is very, I think I got in trouble last week because I mentioned Morphogen. This is very, very similar in taste to Nutrigen.
Yeah.
Which, right, Nutrigen has like 14 grams of greens in there and all kinds of crazy shit. So this one has a lot of stuff in here. Adaptogens that are hard to flavor. Well, super shrooms they call it. Yeah, so this is good. This is good. I like that.
What I'm curious about is is there some kind of equivalency chart between dried greens and servings of fresh vegetables? So it's, like 3 grams of freeze-dried greens is equivalent to, 1 serving of vegetables or something like that. I don't know if they actually have that. I know some brands have claimed that this equals X amount of servings of vegetables, and one of the famous ones was Beachbody Shakeology. It was like a $140 glorified protein powder that had some superfood blends at it and everything. And it said it was equal to X amount of servings of fruits and vegetables per day. I'm thinking, how can you actually quantify that? So I don't know if there actually is a conversion chart or not. So, inform me if I'm speaking out of my ass here.
No, I think you're 100% on board. I've never really seen anything, but I do remember. So Futureceuticals has the True Serve greens that you find in the Inspired Greens product.
Yeah.
And this was the first time I saw it. So if you go on, it was actually when I was doing the research for the Supplement Snoop app to put this in there, I realized, so the greens blend that they use, True Serve, that's in Inspired.
Yeah.
It shows you on their site, it's 14 kale leaves plus 4 spinach leaves plus 1 broccoli floret. So they show you their, and they show you their, they have a fruit blend, a veggie blend, and a greens blend. Mm-hmm. And they show you, so 17 kale leaves plus a half a carrot and an eighth of a beet is their veggie blend. So it sort of puts it in perspective with people, when I talk to them, it's like, okay, our greens products, I bash greens products all the time, but there are some that are really cool out there. But at the same time, this lets you sort of put it in perspective. It's like, okay, when people always ask me, is it worth it? Is it worth it? I don't know. Is it worth it to you to have to go buy this product for 14 kale leaves, 4 spinach leaves? But at least you can put it, you can actually quantify it, like you said, in numbers. Yeah. You're like, oh, do I really need this product, or should I just eat like their fruit blends? Should I just eat 2 blueberries, 7 cranberries, and an eighth of an apple? Like, I think I can handle that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's all about perspective. It's all about just knowing that type of information. So I thought that this little chart on Futureceuticals was cool, because at least then you don't have to guess. You're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I wonder if they just took 1/600th of their veggie blend, and that's what they called S7, because that's basically what S7 is. 50 milligrams, and you get 3 grams of their greens blend. It's basically S7 right there for you.
Oh boy. Okay, so we got Glaxon in there, we got Morphogen in there, we got an S7 bashing. Did we miss anything? We got a Robbie.
Yeah, we talked about Robbie.
You and I are we're biased towards Olympus, right? So don't we have to talk about them?
I guess so.
Anyway, so I think we got all our bases covered this week, brother. All our sponsorships have been covered.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't mention Insane Labs yet, and their bullshit. There we go.
So how about you want to talk about how Rockstar is being bought by Pepsi for
$3.5 billion or whatever it was?
3.85 billion.
Yeah,
This is always an interesting conversation too, because as you saw Quest, get bought for $1 billion, I think everybody was kind of like, oh my god, maybe I should make a protein bar. And then, like, you were seeing all these energy drinks, and it's something I talk a lot about. If you're the trend setter, this is the reward you usually get, or this is the reward you can get. Yeah. But when you're trying to do it down the road, it usually just doesn't work out that way, unless you can find some way to improve on the original. So, take Quest and then take Mark, say the outright bar.
Yeah.
outright bar, he's made some, to a lot of people, what would be improvements on the Quest bar. So there's a viable option there that this is actually different. So when it comes to energy drinks, I would say if you're thinking now about making an energy drink because Rockstar got bought for $4 billion, you're probably
a little late to the party.
Going to face an uphill battle. But we're going to see a shit ton of it. I mean, because anytime you say $4 billion, I think a lot of people go, well, if I could get 100th of that, I would be happy. So
yeah, it's
Rockstar's been around for a long time too. Rockstar hit $1 billion in sales. They were like one of the first ones to do it. So it's not like they're some overnight operation.
No, I'm looking at the label that's on the Stack 3D front page right now. It says Rockstar Thermo 1,000 milligrams of branch chain amino acid. It says BCAA amino. So we have branch chain amino acid aminos. This must be some special type of amino acids that are in there. But we went to go eat our usual routine on Sundays after, the halfling wakes up from her nap is we'll go eat lunch in the Galleria. We'll eat lunch and then I'll saddle up to the bar while Sandy and the piglet go to Barnes & Noble and read books and, go do story time and all that while I'm working in the afternoon. And the bartender there, who makes a fantastic old-fashioned, with rye, actually. I'm usually not a big rye guy, but he whatever type of rye he uses, it's not too spicy. I enjoy it very much. Usually I'm a bourbon man. He was sipping on a Bang, and so I asked him, hey, do you have a favorite flavor? And he said, oh, I just recently started drinking these. He said, but man, it's so good for you. It's got amino acids, it's got creatine, it's got CoQ10. And at this point, I'm wondering, do I say anything or do I just let him roll with it and just So I decided to not rain on his parade and just asked him if he enjoyed the flavors. Did he like any of them? Did he not? So he basically said the birthday cake was disgusting, and so was the cotton candy. He doesn't like the super sweet ones. He was drinking the Star Blast at that time, I believe, last Sunday.
Yeah, I'm just the type of person at this point. I'm not going to shit in anybody's cornflakes.
Yeah.
But if you really want to know, if you ask me, then I'll tell you that that's not the case. But, I'm not the type of walk around like, oh, if that's what makes you happy, you shouldn't do that. And, we try to provide information in our space. So if you come to our space and then you hear it, you can take, but yeah, you walk around because, oh my gosh, you just hear so much crazy shit.
Yeah,
all the time.
I had a text from a guy. He used to work as a bartender at the original watering hole that has now since closed as of the day that LSU whipped Oklahoma's ass in the semifinals. That was their last night of being open. And I went there, and so he knew that I was in the supplement industry. I gave him my number. I said, hey, you ever got a question about something, give me a call. I do this. And so he sends me a text last week, and he says, hey, and him and I had talked about this several times, and he said, I'm trying to lose some fat, and this dude is he's thinner than I am, and you've seen me in person. I'm fairly thin. I'm not, if I lost a lot of weight, I would look anemic, and this dude is even thinner than I was. And he said, I'm just trying to lose belly fat and boost my libido, and he said, and so he sends me the text, he said, man, I'm still trying to lose weight, and my friend said that in order to burn belly fat, I need to start taking L-carnitine and CLA, and I just thought, oh my God, what do you? So I very politely responded to him. I wanted to say your friend doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, but so I since he was asking me, and him and I had several supplement related and training related discussions before. I did that, and at that point I burst his bubble and said, those are not going to do shit if you don't have a calorie deficit going on. And frankly, I'm not a believer in either of them from a weight loss perspective.
One of the biggest issues that I just see on a day-to-day basis in the supplement industry is a lot of people within the supplement industry only talk to other people that are within the supplement industry.
Yeah.
Me coming from outside not long ago, when you get questions like that from real people, it puts into perspective what we take for granted. And then when you look at the conversations that happen within the supplement industry, you just realize kind of how stupid that some of them are. Because you're like this, we're arguing over whether, like you brought up carnitine.
Yeah.
The carnitine thing, right? Everybody's got an opinion about carnitine, this and that, but it's like, so we spend so much time talking about that where it's like, there's a billion people out there using supplements that are outside of our little
bubble
space in the world, and bringing them in and talking to them is totally different than talking to, the people like within private groups and stuff like that. It's like bridging that gap is such a huge thing for me. I don't want to have my life be just all talking to people like in the supplement space,
right?
Because it's like you, and most of the time you can't really help each other anyway. We all kind of know the same things. It's like we're arguing over things that don't really matter, and it's like it doesn't really help the overall health of the supplement industry. It's like you have to fight back against some of that misinformation that's out there for the general public that are just looking at like a couple of ingredients or things they hear, like Dr. Oz's dumbass gets on there and says something and it sets us back
10 years
every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah,
that's the type of stuff that we're sort of fighting against, and that's why I just find it to be such a waste of time sometimes to get into these pointless debates, on Instagram about the finite, or the minute details of the supplement industry. So it's just kind of a thing where I just noticed, because I talk to a lot of people that are totally outside of the space. They ask me questions, and it's just like their just thought process. They're just totally different than what we're used to.
Yeah, and I don't think I'm overstepping this. I would say that both you and I got into the industry, and one of our core drivers was to help filter out all the bullshit that the industry is for the common individual, not people that are in the know about supplements, but help the average soccer mom, soccer dad, college age kid that's looking to delve into supplements, and help them sort through all the bullshit and find out what actually might provide some kind of tangible benefit and what is just burning through their wallet.
Yep, 100%, man. And then, because it was kind of funny, the other day, where you mentioned bourbon earlier, one of my friends, my closest friends, doesn't know shit about supplements or working out. He knows about bourbon, right? Yeah. And I just started picking his brain about bourbon, and I realized, I asked him a question. I was in the store the other day, and I was like, the draw to ask him, what's the best bourbon, is there. There, even though that it's a stupid question to ask. Right. So it's like, you kind of go, is this good? And it's like, well, what are you looking for, kind of thing. And it's just like, we just do that so much because you just don't know what you don't know. So it's like, people always tell me, they're like, well, I don't know how you have so much patience and to answer the same questions, from these new people all the time. I'm like, that's the good point. I actually don't feel like debating the small shit with people that know this stuff, because it's just usually pointless. Yeah. I would rather get a what's the best pre-workout question every day from someone brand new that comes in. Yeah. I would rather have that question 100 times than debating, say, the clinical dose of citrulline with a bunch of people within the industry all day long. I would rather, because at least then you can make some kind of progress. Correct. People that you can really change. That's why I love people that work in retail stores that really push education, because they can change people's lives. A person can just wander into a GNC, and if that GNC employee cares about them, a lot of brick and mortars that we like Natural Body, they do this. Yeah. You can literally change someone's life that comes in with a problem if you get them to sort of see it from a different perspective. And the problem within the industry, it's very hard to change someone's perspective once they're sort of have dug in their heels about something. Yep. I'm that way. It's there's things that you can't. You can show me all the studies in the world, but if I've personally experienced it, then I don't give a shit. Correct. So that's just kind of where we're at. So I just find a lot of rewards in working with people that are just brand new to the whole thing, because you sort of see the light bulb come on. You can see them actually improve their lives. So totally different topic.
Agreed, man. Agreed. So is there anything on the front page of Stacked or the second page that's?
Let's give some credit, because this person. So the first headline on here, Impel Nutrition. Yeah. He'll know too. I'll mess with him a little bit. I told him not to make a protein powder. I was like, don't do it, man. Don't make a fucking protein powder. Please, for the love of God, don't. Yeah. But he wanted to make a protein powder, but I want to give James as part of the Supplement Snoop private group. He's a really good dude. Small company. But and this ties into this whole thing about testing and the expense. So he's a small company, and he sent his pre-workout out to be tested by ABC, and he posted the results. And he paid out of pocket for that, And so, he's like, yeah, it was expensive. He's like, but I want people buying my products to know that. He goes, and I want to know.
Right.
So if he can do it, don't give me this shit if you're a big company or something like that is too expensive. If it's too expensive, then maybe, you have to rethink things a little bit. But
correct.
It was really cool to see that. So we'll give him a shameless plug. He's got some protein.
Yeah, and he's a good supporter of the podcast. He always reposts it and share it every week. So, yeah, man. Thank you to the guys at Impel for doing that. We appreciate. And while we're on this, we're going to do a shameless plug for the podcast. If you haven't reviewed it yet, please do. And please share it with friends, family, loved ones. Even the people you don't like, maybe you can educate them a little bit on some supplements and save them from wasting their money on certain products.
Yep, and good on Impel for doing third-party testing when, it's a big expense and, not a lot of people are asking for it, but he felt like he should. So good for him.
Yeah.
And if you look in the Supplement Snoop app, I added the pre-workout, and it's got the fancy green check mark. Green check mark with Supplement Snoop verified because we have third-party tests.
There you go.
Other than that, man, should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, that works for me. I think we're good. There's nothing that really jumped off the page for this week past. It's been kind of I think everybody's still reeling and bummed out from Ohio being shitty and canceling the Arnold. And now that there's not going to be any fans at the March Madness tournament and the NBA season has been indefinitely suspended, there's a European travel ban now. I think a lot of it is grossly overblown. For the most part, just stay home if you're sick. Eat your fruits and veggies. Wash your hands. Don't sneeze in somebody's face. Go exercise once in a while. Do that shit, and you'll be fine.
I talked about it on my stories today, and it wasn't necessarily a coronavirus thing. It was a coronavirus question. Someone asked me, "Are you worried about the coronavirus?" And my response to that was, "Worrying is a waste of an emotion."
Yep.
And I was like, "You something comes up like that, you either do something about it or you don't."
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So when it comes to coronavirus, it's like, well, what can I do? I can make sure that, we're washing your hands. Like, you should have been doing that anyway.
Basic hygiene.
Exercise, staying out of, maybe large groups or whatever. I'm not going to travel to fucking Italy, but it's like, you don't want to be, there's a lot of people, it's sad, right? Obviously, people are dying, and it's like, it's terrible, but, dog's freaking out.
Yeah, you got another package coming.
It's been another package. But anyway, it's, so you don't want to be a prick and be like, hey, there's people dying, and say, oh, it's media-driven bullshit. Like, I don't want to be that guy either, but it's like, it is being overblown in a lot of areas, and that sucks.
Right.
So it's like, everybody you see people going to Walmart or whatever and buying up all the paper towels. These are people that are young, healthy people going, and you're buying up all the hand sanitizer and all this
toilet paper and masks and all the other shit.
So you're a dick because there's other people that need that stuff, and for no reason but your own panic and too many zombie apocalypse movies and video games,
right?
You're gonna fuck over the next person. So it's like,
agreed.
That's why I made a comment on my Instagram today that got a lot of feedback. I was like, people get on their social media and they talk so much shit about equality and togetherness and bringing everybody together. I was like, in the first sign of adversity, man, people will show you that they are you're in it for yourself, man. Like, so don't give me that shit. So don't be a hypocrite. Don't be an idiot. Just do what you can do and stop putting your shit on everybody else. Like, if you want to panic about it, that's fine. Don't get on social media and tell it and become everyone else's problem and stress other people out and put your bullshit on them. Like, keep it to yourself. Do what you got to do and just move on.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that they've also developed a vaccine. Researchers, I believe it was in Boston, have already created a vaccine, and then Apollon Robbie, just sent me an article last night that researchers in Israel have also independently developed their own vaccine, and now both of those are going through the requisite testing and clinical trials and whatnot. But I'm thinking, this is getting massively overblown, and yes, it has killed people. That is very unfortunate. So does diabetes, heart disease, cancer. That all have significantly higher death rates than any of those and kill much more people each year than this virus or the flu. So everybody stop freaking the fuck out. We've been through SARS, we've been through Ebola, we've been through mad cow disease, we've been through avian bird flu and all this other shit. Just chill the fuck out. We will be fine.
We will be fine.
And all that worrying is just going to sabotage your immune system.
Exactly. Right. The irony of the whole thing, and that was kind of the point I was getting at today, is worrying. People think that worrying is, like, if I worry about you, Robert, that's somehow helping you or being considerate of you. It's actually the opposite. It's actually doing damage to myself, and if I'm, like, putting my shit on you, it's actually stressing you out and making it work for you. So it's like, stop worrying so much. It's not about putting your head in the sand and pretending nothing's going on, but it's like, I made the analogy of, it's sort of like, you have a job interview. You worry about this job interview. Well, what can you do about it? You prepare. You prepare yourself, right? You prepare yourself. Have you done everything? And if you've done everything you can in your power to what you can control, then you shouldn't worry.
Correct.
That's just because it's like, hey, man, I could catch the coronavirus. I might have it right now. I might be dead in a week. Worrying about it right now isn't going to do a fucking thing.
Exactly.
It won't change the outcome. So,
correct.
What you can do? All right, man.
All right, buddy. That was a good note to end on. You and the missus have a fantastic weekend, and I'm sure we'll be in touch within an hour or two of ending this podcast, like always.
There you go, brother. We'll have some bourbon tonight.
There we go, man. Have a good one, bud.
All right, see you.